Welcome to Elevate Springfield, where we will dive into strategies and stories that help you rise to your full potential. Each episode, we'll talk about how you can take intentional steps to elevate your life and your business while making a meaningful impact on those around you. Along the way, we're going to bring in the change makers from our community that are already elevating. We'll bring the actionable strategies, you bring the discipline and follow through, and together we can elevate Springfield. Welcome in, everyone. You are listening to Elevate Springfield. This is Robert Ferriell. Hey, if you want to get caught up on previous episodes, head on over to iHeart, Spotify, Amazon, or anywhere you get your podcast. Just search for Elevate Springfield. Should be able to find us, where each and every week we're going to give y'all actionable strategies. You bring the discipline and follow through, and together we can achieve results and elevate Springfield. Today, I'm excited for a great episode. Have a friend and colleague of mine that'll be joining me. Wonderful storyteller. Hey, we've got Mr. D, Doug Dennis, Sensei Dennis, goes by many names. We're going to have him right after the break talk all things Shudo Kan Karate Club. A little bit about Japanese culture and how that relates to success and how he's built his business over the last 50 years. So, Doug Dennis, right after the break.
When I first walked into Shudo Kan Karate Club, I was just looking for a way to get stronger, but what I found was so much more. Here we train in traditional karate, the real stuff, passed down through generations. Every punch, every kata has purpose. I've learned self-discipline, confidence, and how to protect myself. Not just in class, but in real life. It's not about being aggressive, it's about being prepared. This is more than a club, it's a way of life. Join us at Shudo Kan, traditional, powerful, real. Ki-ai!
All right, and we are back. Joining me in the studio now is a man that goes by a few different names. We've got Sensei Doug Dennis, Mr. Doug Dennis, or what a lot of people call him, just, hey, Mr. D. Doug, how you doing today?
Great.
All right. Well, before we talk about your business it's been in Springfield for over 50 years now, right?
Years.
Absolutely. Before we start talking about that, just tell us a little bit about Mr. D. Tell us about your background.
Country boy. Grew up in a little town halfway between Oblong and Robinson in southern Illinois. My father was a 39-year veteran of Marathon Oil. He graduated from high school in 1939, took a team of horses down to plow up a little half-acre field to this place called Ohio Oil Company. And he was the youngest of 7 children, and he decided he wanted to do something other than be a farmer the rest of his life. So he asked the guy that employed him, and my dad had a pair of horses, so this was walk them 2 miles away from his home.
Sure. And
plow up this field. And he goes, you give me a job here? And he goes, show up Monday morning, 85 cents an hour. Now, my dad he volunteered for World War II. He knew he was going to get drafted after about a year or so. Went overseas for 4 years, was in the Navy, served his country, came back and started right back with Ohio Oil. Eventually it became Marathon Oil.
Okay.
And 39 years later, he retired as Great Lakes manager of the products division, Marathon Oil Company. So we moved 7 times in that time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you're a teenager and you move in the middle of your sophomore year, you think life is ended because we moved 22 miles south to a place. Dad was transferred to Bridgeport, Illinois. So I went to 2 high schools. Robinson was where I grew up. Went to church with those kids, went to Boy Scouts with those kids, and in the middle of my sophomore year, I moved to Lawrenceville High School.
Were they rivals?
They were absolute rivals. We actually weren't exactly in the same conference, but we played together all the time. So high school, junior high, even Little League Baseball. I mean, the first team, I played baseball as an athlete since I was 6 years old. My dad was my coach. Little League All-Stars played Lawrenceville. When I went to Robinson, I was 12 years old. We beat them. It was the most difficult game out of the 11 that we played. We lacked one game, one run of going to Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Oh, no.
So we won the state championship in 1964. And to this day, every 2 years, we all get together and see who's left and
cool.
celebrate that.
Where do you do that at?
Robinson.
Do you go down to Robinson?
Yeah, every year they have their Corey League or whatever league it is that they're playing in, and they have a regional championship or whatever, and so they go down and recognize us. There's about 10 of us left out of 22 that were on the squad. Both the coaches are gone. My father was one of those. But it's interesting, baseball athletics opened up a lot of doors for me all the way. When I moved to Lawrenceville, they had the winningest coach in basketball history in Ron Felling, who went on to be assistant coach to Bobby Knight at Indiana University. He was a character. To this day, I still use his motivational techniques. Mm-hmm. When we see each other, I still thank him for investing in me. So 1969, I graduated from high school. Knew I was going to Eastern Illinois University. I had a scholarship there because I had won what was now Skills USA. You never know where sports will take you, and it's opened a lot of doors for me in many different ways. So when I graduated, I was one of 4 people on our baseball team that was batting .400. I go, man, college material. I'm going to make it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm with it. Our team that year had 2 pitchers that pitched back-to-back no-hitters in the regionals. Dennis Scheidler, who set multiple records in both basketball and baseball. Butch Wolf, one of my best friends, 6'10", signed with the Baltimore Orioles.
Wow.
Our team that year was undefeated, went on and lost in the regionals. We went farther than any other baseball team in the school history. And we outscored our opponents 96-13.
Jeez.
And so we were just, we can do anything.
Yeah.
So I talked to Coach Felling. I said, hey, what do you think about baseball? Well, he was pretty good and pretty direct. He goes, I think you could, really apply yourself and just do the best you can. Well, 60 people tried out. They kept one person. Oh. I was 135 pounds and 5'9.5".
Sure.
Willie Anderson was the only guy they kept. He lived in the dorm. He was about 275, and I just sat there and watched him hit the ball over the fence.
2 of you.
So, yeah, 2 of me. And so my life was crushed, okay? Baseball was everything to me. I did play football. That was my favorite sport. Wasn't tall enough, but I loved to play basketball, so I ran track, played all the sports in grade school and then high school. So when I got out of high school, where do you go next? And I happened to see a karate demonstration. And when I was a sophomore in high school, a man by the name of Robert Bondurant was our backfield coach in football. Mm-hmm. And he and my best friend, Dave Fasick, he said, why don't you guys come and we're going to work on the stage Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We're going to work out and we'd lift weights and we do gymnastics and anything to keep in shape for track or baseball if you didn't play basketball. They didn't have wrestling back then. I said, okay. So we studied karate from him and judo for about 4 months, and that changed my entire life. I just figured out years to years, 74.8% of my life I've been studying the martial arts. It's taken me all the way around the world 4 times. I was asked to represent the United States on a task force to promote karate as an Olympic sport. I was one of the founding members of that. I've been national president of 3 organizations in the United States. I sit on the council for the World Shito-Ryu Karate System. That's one of the top 4 systems in the world. The last match I lost was in the Masters Division in the Budokan in Tokyo the year before the Olympics. They took our World Championship, which was 41 countries, and then they used that as the dress rehearsal for the Olympics. So when I was too old to make the national team anymore, I was recruited for the national team in 1984, and from 84 to 92, I represented the United States in competitions all over the country. I was asked to participate. If you want to come, just show up in Chicago every Friday night from 7 to 9:30. So I worked for Fiat Alice engineering at that time. They'd say, yeah, you can take off 30 minutes early. So 17 weekends in a row, I drove up to Chicago, worked out, and then drove back home. I'd get home between 2:30 and 3 o'clock in the morning, teach class the next day. But I got to represent the United States against Great Britain, Greece, Moscow, Venezuela, Mexico. I've been either head coach or referee or a competitor. And so,
how'd that feel to be able to represent your country like that?
I'm getting cold chills, Robert, when I even talk about it or think about it. I have the team sweats here. When you get on the airplane, everybody's dressed in the red, white, and blue sweats, and they announce as soon as they're taxiing, hey, today we have the U.S. national junior team or senior team, head coach Doug Dennis and Melanie Murphy, or head coach Doug Dennis and Ridgely Abel. Ridgely Abel, the first national championship I won in the Masters division, I was 36 years old. He had just won the World Championships the year before, and I beat him in a double elimination match.
Nice.
And then he and I coached. We were the first junior coaches at the Olympic Training Center, 1990. Karate had been accepted as an Olympic sport, and so they start training about 16 years ahead to prepare you for that event. So they started bringing teams there 3 times a year. And so I was one of the first to coach under the Olympic banner. He was the head coach, and I was one of the assistants. Lifelong, again, he always kidded me because you were talking about, before we were talking about personal health and success and everything. And if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. Your faith can never go away unless you let it go, but different things can take your health away. He would always kid me, or I'd kid him. I go, hey, how you want your steak cooked at dinner tonight? He goes, I'm a vegetarian. And then, unfortunately, he contracted prostate cancer, and we lost him about 8.5 years ago. So most of my mentors coming up, the people that put me in this position, were teachers or coaches. When I got involved in karate at Eastern Illinois University, there were 4 guys I really looked up to. They would be called senpais. That's like your big brother, right? So they're brown belts or black belts, and you're a beginner, yellow belt, or, just getting started. And so one of them took me aside, and he goes, if you work hard, karate can open doors for you as much as you want. I didn't know what that meant.
Right.
But if you'd have told me a little country boy in a town of 8,000 would teach, be known, respected, medaled on 4 different continents, I go, you're crazy. And I moved here when David Brownridge, my immediate teacher, who had promoted me to black belt July 22nd, 1972, he says, starting teachers pay $600 a month. I know you're graduating in 2 months. Would you like to run a business for me, and I'll pay you starting teacher pay?
There you go.
And I'm like, what are the hours? Okay, now I'm a college student, right? I got an afro and a goatee. I got my scuba license. I'm driving a 72 Corvette. Think I'm God's gift to anybody. Where do you want me to go? He goes, Springfield, Decatur, Kankakee, and he goes, we're opening a new school in Champaign. So we opened 3 schools within that year. I was with him for a couple years. The hours were noon to 9. So that fit that college,
at that point,
college
absolutely.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that. So life was good. But if you'd have told me I'd make $2 million over 54 years, because I was afraid. I wasn't afraid of anybody on a football field. I could outrun 95% of the people in my PE class, but I didn't know how to fight, and I was always skinny, and I always got picked on, or I got bullied, they call it now. And my dad said, don't ever start a fight, okay? And he says, if you get a whipping at school, which they actually did that with a real wood paddle back in the ancient days, he goes, you get a whipping at home. But if somebody picks on you and you got to defend yourself, by all means do that. Well, that sounds great, but I didn't know how to do that. So when I got in karate at 135 pounds, 5'9.5", I took to it like a duck to water. A year later, when I came home from my summer, from my freshman year at Eastern, 1969 and 70, I was 6 foot tall and 147 pounds. And so I was a late bloomer. And so I was a good fighter. I was very flexible. My best friend, Dave Fazik, and roommate in college, he went to Wabash Valley Junior College right out of high school. So he had studied there 2 years and got his black belt in Taekwondo. And then junior and senior year, we moved to Eastern and were roommates. And then we taught together for 23 years.
So you mentioned you took to karate because, the bullying and everything too. Was there any other spark that when you started karate? Because when I see you, outside of your faith and things like that, karate to me is like your purpose, impacting people through karate, right? So I mean, was there something else that kind of sparked you to say, hey, this is my purpose, this is what I want to do, other than learning self-defense? To be a karate person now, you got to understand the closest karate school to us was an hour and a half away. It's not like you open up the Yellow Pages or Google and there's 10 schools, okay, like there is now. But the moral character and the physical discipline that was demanded was the way I was raised in a country living. So there was no gray area. There's a right and there's a wrong, and there's consequence to your actions. My father used to say, actions have consequences, therefore you must be responsible. And it was really crazy because the first time I met Ridgely Abel at the Olympic Training Center, he said, actions have consequences, so you got to be, and I go, holy mackerel, did you ever meet my dad? Back then, all the people that I looked up to were morally correct, okay? Now, you get in college, you're going to drink. You're going to be exposed to challenge. You're going to be exposed to challenges that'll test your faith, test your sinful ways. I mean, it's a fallen world. But the guys that I hung around with, they'd have a beer or two, but they go, hey, I think you better back off there a little bit. Because if I get upset at somebody and I fire on somebody, they made it very clear you have the capacity to harm somebody severely or kill them. So we used to have this saying above the karate school at the end. It says, the ultimate good lies not in winning 1,000 battles, but avoiding a single conflict. So to this day, I've never had to hit or strike somebody to break up a fight or get them to leave me alone. So you learn to control your emotions, and we learn to fight in the martial arts so we don't have to fight. And a lot of people have no concept of understanding that anymore, okay? Well, take us to the start of your business, to Shudo Kan Karate here in Springfield. Take us back 50-odd years ago to
September 4th, 1973.
All right.
David Brownridge and I opened the first commercial karate school at 310 East Monroe, right across from Two Brothers Lounge and right down from the state capitol.
So early on in the business, how did you grow that business quickly? Like how quickly did the dojo grow? Bruce, there you go.
6 weeks after he offered me that job, I was driving up here and that dojo means place of practice in martial arts. Okay. It was 45 feet long and 22 feet wide. That's it. My lobby's that big. You've been in my dojo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I have 1,000 square feet to work from. But Bruce Lee came out. The first month, Robert, we signed up 48 students. The second month, 42 students. One instructor.
Wow.
Just me. So I had a couple guys that had studied something before. And so Master Brock, Sam Brock, was the man that brought our style of karate called Shudo Kan from Tachikawa, Japan to the United States in 1961. He was a Navy man and was stationed over there for 3 years and came back and started the first Midwest school, Shudo Kan, in 1961. So David Brownridge had studied from him, and then I'm studying from David Brownridge and his mentors. So we opened up the school, and I had 90 students, but I taught 3 classes. I taught an early class, like from 5 to 6, and then I took 15 minutes break and taught another hour class, and then I taught another class after that. And then after about a year of that, there was some guys that were training at the YMCA. There was guys on the east side that kind of cross-trained by themselves. There was a guy that moved into town that taught Kung Fu, and so we all started studying Kung Fu with him. So we started at 9:30 at night and would study till midnight on Tuesday and Thursdays. And I did that for four years and 2 months and only missed 2.
Was there any part of you that at that time that was starting a business is hard? Yeah, right. Look at this growth. Did it hit you how quickly you were growing early on?
I became spoiled. I became spoiled because the Y had about 30 students. Okay, and then that grew exponentially. I mean, Ernie Henson was teaching judo here. Gary Boyd was teaching karate here. Miss Leonita was teaching Tai Chi here, all through the Y. Okay, so they shared the same space, so they couldn't provide, hey, you can come here and study 5 days a week if you'd like. They would have an hour or 2 space slot, 1 day a week or maybe 2 days a week. So starting the business, I was very well insulated because all the business stuff, I just had to fill out the forms. I didn't have to create documents for 1099 if somebody helps you. If you hire somebody, you got to pay workman's comp. I didn't have to do any of that stuff. The home office did that. But I had to feed them all that data. And then once a month, all 4 schools would get together and we would discuss. And I remember Decatur was always struggling because they were so much blue collar. So Firestone would lay off.
Yeah.
ADM would lay off. Every time there was a problem, they were down maybe 15%. And I'm up because I was insulated by the white collar.
Right.
So for my business, one of the best things that happened was moving to Springfield because of the state offices, the insurances, and the medical community.
Yeah.
Okay? And so when it was hard starting, karate back then was $39 a month. David Brownridge says, we're going to charge $55 a month. Are you kidding me? That's like 19% more. He goes, no. And he had just gone and saw the standard of the living and the median income and did that and said, this is why we're going to be here and where we're going to be, and the rest is history.
You can differentiate yourself by that higher price, too.
Absolutely.
Were there any other inflection points? You talked about the influence Bruce Lee had on enrollment. Were there, through the years, have there been any other major inflection points? I could think of a couple in my mind. Maybe.
2 that are really important that attracted your daughter and other kids. Karate Kid movie, Mr. Miyagi.
Yep.
And to this day, people will say, can you do that thing the guy did on the crane? And I go, yeah, there's a kata that comes from China. I do happen to know it. I've taught it. I've learned it in 3 different countries, and it's called rohai. It means crane on a rock. I go, that's actually from a kata. And then this other part, wow, that comes from seiyunchin. That's an old Japanese system that was one of the first to come out. And Mr. Miyagi would be like the Tiger Woods of his era and his rue or his art. And so my wife and I at the time had a dojo. We left David Brownridge. He closed and moved on. I was teaching Kung Fu with some guys part-time, and then we started a dojo in our basement. I built a house with a 10-foot ceiling just so I could teach there, 25 students. When somebody quit or moved away, I'd say, we got a spot open. That's all I had. But at $40 a month, that paid for our house payment and all of our utilities. All I had to do was go downstairs and teach 4 days a week for 2.5, 3 hours, and then fight for another half hour, 45 minutes after. And I go upstairs, and my wife had dinner ready, and she goes, okay, that'd be nice. So I've eaten dinner at 8:30 to 9 o'clock for the last 52 years.
Sure. Was 10 feet high enough? I've seen some old pictures of you where you jumped up in the air and you're doing a kick, and you look like your head's hitting about 13 feet.
There is a picture. Gary Huff was a photographer for the Illinois National Guard, and we had a tournament at the YWCA. And so the YWCA had a pool, and it also had a wood floor gymnasium. We had 2 rings set up. We didn't have pads back then. You were a wussy if you wore pads, okay? And so no mats to fight on like now, and no body shields, and no headgear in case, and you couldn't draw blood, but you could hit a guy a pretty good lick. Redness meant that was a good hit.
Sure.
So somebody bet me I couldn't kick the bottom of a basketball net. So in February of 1974, I kicked the bottom of a basketball net. Now, I have to admit that somebody had hung on the rim and it did tilt down an inch or two. Okay, and somebody says, I said, well, then
I don't think that makes much
you
of a
go
difference
jump,
to me.
but let me see how high you can jump.
Right.
And I beat that guy in the finals later that day because
nice.
he was kind of a jerk. The other thing, Tybo, Billy Blanks. Well, a lot of people don't know Billy Blanks, the first American to win a world championship was a gentleman, Toki Hill. Good friend of mine. We've coached together. He's best fighter I'd ever seen, pound for pound. And he won gold medal and Billy Blanks won silver medal in the world championships in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And so Billy comes back and goes a different route. I mean, Toki actually moved to New York from Ohio to become one of the most prolific coaches that we've ever seen and just phenomenal athlete. He was the first guy to get sponsorship. He got paid $100,000 a year in mid-'80s to compete on a tournament circuit. We had a tournament circuit we'd travel around to all over the country. And then Billy Blank started Tybo. And I remember
huge. That was huge when
I would work 6-8 hours part-time construction because I had one child that was going to Lutheran High School, so we need a little extra money for that. My wife worked at SIU School of Medicine, and so we enjoyed a good income. We had the business in the evenings, but I'd work construction from about 8 or 10, and then I'd work till about 4, come home, grab a snack, take a shower, and go teach for 2 or 3 hours. She would teach on Monday and Wednesday, the juniors in the evening, and I would teach Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday because we went with Karate Kid from having 20 students to 65 students in 5 weeks. So we bought a building at 1048 West Jefferson, and we remodeled that building, and we outgrew that, and we moved out west of town just off of Bradfordton Road, and I've been there or 500 yards from there since 1993.
Curious on that fact. So when kids were coming in at that time, did they take on kind of the image of some of the movie kids? Like some come in that were more the Cobra Kai types, and you had some
there
come
were
in
animated ones.
Miyagi.
I had a father had a strong military background, and he pulled his kid out of my class because he said I was teaching him to do push-ups wrong. Okay, now I had taught at the Olympic Training Center. I started training at the highest level. Our core development came from the program that they teach to the NBA. Okay, our plyometric exercises that we do are to teach you to jump out of the sky.
Yeah.
Okay, and so we're teaching, and he's telling me I can't teach it. Everybody was an expert back then because they watched the movies. Right. Now, Shoji Miyagi was a little short, thick guy with round glasses, and Pat Morita looked almost exactly like him. But the guy that did all the stunt doubles, I trained with him in San Diego, California.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Fumio Demura. He just passed away of a stroke 2 years ago. But he was a heck of an actor. But he could jump over that fence. Okay, he could do all that stuff. And so I could say, well, I jumped up and kicked the bottom of a basketball net. Well, big deal. And then he'd mop the floor with me. And so anyway, people would literally come in thinking they're going to see a Mr. Miyagi.
Right.
So they get a 147-pound skinny guy with a full beard and everything, and they go, what is this? But they kept signing up. Now, that did us some damage, too, because if your child comes to me, I haven't changed my requirements from a national or international level in the past 40 years. Nobody will train like we do. Karate Kid then, if kids weren't getting a belt, the parents thought they weren't progressing.
Sure.
And some of the commercial schools that we call Belts R Us or McDojos, they would just keep feeding those. And then I remember watching Chuck Norris had a 6-year-old black belt on Johnny Carson once. Now, that kid was amazing. Okay. I mean, the things that he could do, and he could imitate the movements, but does he really know when he should or shouldn't use his karate? Or what's the maturity level? Can he teach somebody else? But then people start giving ranks that we felt was undeserved. So there's some places you can go now and get a black belt in a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Just pay the $2,200 and you're going to get that. I don't care what you pay. The unique thing about most traditional karate programs, we don't care whether you're Republican or independent,
right,
or Democrat. You all start at white belt and you work your way up through that. So even through COVID, Robert, we never changed our requirements. We had to have everybody 6 feet apart and wearing a mask, and we couldn't make physical contact, but we kept going because I asked some of the parents, I said, hey, do you want us to close until this is over? They go, no. You and your staff are the only human beings my kid gets to relate to on a daily basis. So we survived COVID because we didn't make those things. I didn't teach remotely. Some people did, and that helped them.
Yeah.
But I've always built my own schools. I'm the landlord, okay? I'm the person that sweeps the floor. I'm the person that tests you for black belt. I'm the person that's going to be there. That's traditional martial arts.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about you and your dojo. You've kept that tradition.
Absolutely.
The way it should be.
When you walk in, I designed the dojo and built it with all Japanese architecture because the two places, I lived in Okinawa on an exchange program. I was one of 9 people selected across the United States to live in Okinawa. I slept on the floor. I pulled the grass out of the crack on the sidewalk. I did all that good stuff. And I went there and researched a book for Sam Brock and I. Motivation and Philosophy of Karate Master. All the old masters in our system had died. So I would go, where did all that knowledge and skill go? And it weaved its way through back to Japan. Okinawa is the birthplace of traditional karate, 1609. It went to Japan primarily in the early 30s and then became most popularized from Japan. And then they sent people all over the world. That school that I lived in is still there today. Master Kisei is still there. Dave Fazik, again, he's a direct student of them. So I still have ties back to the founders of karate.
Faith, how does faith play out in service to your business and your karate students? What does that look like in a business setting? How do you serve your students based on your faith?
Number one, you got to set a good example. And I know somebody's going to come out and they may invest $600 to $1,500 a year in me. And I know that first impression is invaluable. You just have to have a positive example because people are looking all the time. Good friend of mine said, once you become a teacher, you're graded at a higher standard. You're held to a higher standard.
Absolutely.
And I'm always joking around and carrying on. I said something once around some people, and some people I think were offended by it. They didn't know it wasn't directed to them. He goes, I hold you to a higher standard. And I've held myself to a higher standard ever since he said that. Those mentors that I've all had all held me at a higher standard. I expect more from you. Mm-hmm. So my students, especially the ones that struggle sometime, I know they got crap going on in their life that's far beyond me. And I go, look, I'm going to hold you to a higher standard, but I'll also reach deeper down to pick you up because this is a labor of love.
You've had a lot of great mentors, and you've been a great mentor to a lot of people. I mean, you yourself have been kind of at the top of the world in the karate field. You've been around everybody that's at the top of the world in the karate field. What are some of the commonalities amongst those high performers, those ones that are just world-class athletes? What are some commonalities there?
Whether it's business or relationship or an athletic contest, it's all the same thing. The Japanese, the first thing they teach is samurai, and he may be a samurai since he's 10 years old. But when he's 14, 15 years old, he's been taught to take a katana, 39-inch sword, and go do battle. So it isn't wait till you're 18 before you get drafted and trained for a couple years, and then we're going to send you off to war. 14, 15 years old, those guys are put in battle. The first thing they teach, indomitable spirit. They never give up. You can't enter a battle and go, well, I'm going to give you a B effort today or a C effort because it may get you killed or people around you killed. So all the people that I have met, those were the type of people that had that never quit, never quit. I've gone bankrupt. I have been foreclosed on. I have been homeless on paper, driving down the road, because I had partners that stuck me with all the bills and all the problems. But it teaches you that the only way that you can truly fail is quit. The easiest thing you do in life, quit. All you got to do is do it. All you got to do to quit is quit. All you got to do to succeed is dedicate the rest of your life to never quitting. 3 types of people on this earth, and I want to associate and be that top person. Most accomplished people, they talk about ideas. Hey, what would Starlink do? Hey, could we really retrieve the end of a rocket when it falls out of there? And say, we're right on the cusp of finding cures for cancer and Alzheimer and those things that I watched my family members and friends die of horribly. Talk about ideas. Average people, we talk about events. Hey, the weather's cold. Hey, you see it's going to be 70 degrees. We can go play golf. Hey, you see the Cardinals going to be really strong. I hope. I think they're getting a lot of pitchers. I don't know if they're going to be able to hit the ball. And small people, they talk about other people.
So you've talked a little bit about some of the concepts that you learned in Okinawa, and how does some of that relate, any of those cultural concepts from Japan, anywhere that you've brought here, and how does that relate to kind of our Western view of success and development?
Absolutely. I've been to Japan 4 times. The last time was the pre-Olympic, first time 1985. And in Okinawa, the birthplace of karate, there's a shrine, and it's a big gate. Be like walking through Bush Stadium, where you go into all their restaurants and everything. And it says Shori no Man, and that means gate of courtesy. They're the most courteous people in the world. They will disembowel themselves and commit seppuku, which is harikari or herikari, which is, you're committing suicide if you bring dishonor to your family. Or you're banned from the family, you never get to see anybody again. Those are your 2 choices. So they're very, very courteous. They're very, very accommodating. I go to Mexico, Venezuela, El Salvador. I try to speak a little Spanish, and they kind of laugh at you, but they'll help you. In Japan, they are so impressed by the fact that you make an attempt to speak their language, they'll do anything for you. We got lost. We were trying to get to the police station in Saitama, Japan. It's a suburb of Tokyo, and we lived there and trained there on the World Championship at their Junior Olympic Training Center in Saitama. And so we were lost. We were shopping and walking around and seeing all the sights and all these beautiful structures and everything, and we're lost. And so we come up to this lady, and we were trying to speak enough Japanese, and finally somebody just went, and she go, lost. I go, yeah, we're lost. So everybody's cheering, yeah, we're lost. There was like 7 or 8 of us. So he goes, oh, I'll show you. Go down, migi is right, hidari, left, migi, and we're like, she go, oh, I'll show you. She walked 20 minutes. She didn't know us from anybody. She walked 20 minutes to get us to the, now we know where we are. So that culture, being such a giving culture, that's why karate never ends on time. Because if somebody's in the middle of a good lesson or ask a great question, then, okay, we'll get that next. They always continue to give. The other thing is I teach in my classes the same way they teach. It's called the senpai-kohai system. Now, senpai means senior, and kohai means junior. So it's kind of like big brother, younger brother system, or big sister, okay? So I know something that you don't, and so I'm going to share my knowledge and skill with you, and then it's your responsibility to pass it on to the next one and the next one. So when they mess up, I'm going to say, Robert, isn't he one of your senpais? Oh, yeah. He's been late 2 days in a row. Don't worry, sensei, I'll handle it. So that's how everybody supports themselves. But the other thing, the Japanese, their business school, there's a famous business school in Osaka, Japan. It's like our, maybe Harvard, very, very, and one of my karate students went there as a U.S. team member, fought over there, was so enamored by it. James Reed, he came back, went there and lived in Japan for 6 years. So he graduated from there with a master's degree. Then he came back and got a second master's, Duke University, extremely intelligent person. But he said one of the things they had them do in their business culture is you had to go and stand on a street corner in your underwear and sing the school song. So I go, that is crazy. He goes, no, it's vital because you'll never be more embarrassed than what you are standing in your underwear. Those people, when they do that, they'll never be intimidated by trying to make a sale to Sony, Toyota, Honda, Samsung. They will never be intimidated by somebody, because you can't get much more intimidated by everybody walking by laughing at you and point you. And he goes, but it was amazing. People would come up and they go, dude, I graduated from Awasada. Keep up.
Keep it up.
And so, oh, that's amazing. So that culture is so driven. There's things I like about it. They go to school half a day on Saturday. Then you get off and you go to someplace, and you either go to a finishing school to prep you for the next level school so you can get in the best, middle school, and then get in the best high school and get in the best universities and all of that. So you go through that. And then if you go into the trades, they go right in. You may be 5th, 6th grade, and you go on a Saturday, half a day, and you help clean mortar off of bricks, because they want you to know this is what you're getting into. It isn't, I got a degree now, I'm going to go do something. It's so experiential based.
So, Mr. D, you've been in business for 52 years now. Any advice, any keys to longevity in business for folks out there? Maybe some younger folks are just starting out in business and they'd love to make it to 52 years. Any advice you could give them?
You're going to fail forward. Every time you fall down or make a mistake, learn from the mistake and don't make that mistake again. Mm-hmm. And what I've found in 52 years of running my own business is learn from other people's mistakes.
That's what the best do. Absolutely.
Okay? And there's no harm in that. Winston Churchill was asked to give a commencement speech. I think it was Oxford. And he was the man that led England, Great Britain, Europe, defend against the Nazis. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are in bunkers, and he's on Radio Free Europe, and he's communicating them, and one of the most inspirational orators there ever was. And so this will be our finest hour. And the Nazis, the Air Force was obliterating all their structures and everything. So they asked him to come and give this speech to all these new, young, be like our best and brightest, okay? And so he was on in ages, and he always smoked that stogie.
Oh, yeah.
So they kind of help him get out of his chair, and he walks to the podium. He looks around, smiles. He goes, never quit, never quit, never quit. And he went and sat down.
Straight to the point.
And here we are, waiting for this great oratory that's going to come from one of the most influential men on the face of the earth in modern times. And the most important thing he could said is still the most important thing I can share to new people now is never quit. If you don't quit, it's all there. We have a sign right where you sign in. Quitters never win and winners never quit. And we do that so every time you sign in, you are subliminally taught the only way that you can quit moving forward. Now, there are challenges in life that get in the way, that I have to put this on pause and that on pause, and injuries, strokes, financial challenges, divorce, death in the family. All those are real things. And if you keep doing your thing and you don't pay attention to those, that's not right. That's not a moral way to deal with that. But never quit.
Yeah, absolutely. The only way you fail is if you quit.
Absolutely.
Right behind you. You can't see it too much on the video there, but I've got a sign that says, "Remember the guy that gave up?" No, neither does anybody else.
No.
So, all right. Well, Doug, I got two last quick questions for you. First one, I know you're a very humble guy, but I'm interested. You've been in a lot of competitions. You've had a lot of great success in the karate field. What's your number one accomplishment that you've had in that arena? It might not be the biggest one that other people see, but what's the accomplishment that you most hold dear in karate that you've had over this many years?
Well, there's two that come to mind. The first one is my students. I have a student, Tim Griffin. A lot of people know Tim in town, city council, and helped a lot of people in the Republican Party many years and so forth. And then in 2016, Dr. McKay said, your PSA came back 5.2. He goes, it needs to be down under 2. And he goes, now, there's a 60% chance it's not cancer, prostate cancer. I laughed. He'd been my doctor for 28 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, that's the nicest way anybody can tell me I got a 60% chance of having cancer. I said, what do I do? He goes, well, we're going to give you massive doses of antibiotics. And if there's some infection in there or prostatitis or something like that, we're going to chase that. And I go, okay. Do I have any limitations or anything? He goes, no, do what you want. So I hadn't competed in the international level in a number of years because I was refereeing all the time. I want to be a referee at the Olympics. I started training like I used to when I was 36 years old, training to the first international fought in. So I started training, and I trained hard for about 15, 16 weeks. And so I said, if I'm healthy enough and there's no issues, I went ahead and signed up that next week to compete in the World Championships in Monterrey, Mexico.
Nice.
And so I remember my coach going, you're going to be 68 years old. I go, yeah, but they have a 65 and over, or 60 and over, right? Mm-hmm. He goes, yeah. And he goes, and you've had, at that time, 18, 19 surgeries? Yeah. And he kept trying to talk me out of it. I said, look, I mean, it's just one last shot. I just want to do it for fun, which wasn't the case. Mm-hmm. And so I felt if I entered the ring and I made it to there and I could compete, that I had defeated what cancer was going to attempt to do to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it could still destroy my body. I've lost 3 good friends of mine to cancer and seen others suffered. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to make it. So I go in and get checked, and he goes, you're good. You're under 2. He says, there's no cancer in your body. I said, what in the world could it have been? It could have been another infection or the prostatitis or something else going on in your body. And so I went there, and you compete in kata, which is like floor exercise for gymnastics. Mm-hmm. I lost that by 1 point. And the guy that I lost to won the world championships.
Wow.
I fought him the next day in the fighting. You're kicking and punching. Mm-hmm. And I kicked him right in the head. And you have to put your foot back down on the ground before they'll count that a point. I would have won the world championships. He outweighs me by 90 pounds because there's no weight division in the Masters division. And he falls on top of me, mashes me. I put my hand down. I tore rotator cuff, long head bicep, and the scapulary tendon. So I have wires and cables and stuff. And then I won the next match, and I got a bronze medal. Mm-hmm. So on the medal stand, there's this Mexican guy that Geraldo is a real good friend of mine now. And then the other guy, I don't know where he was from, Portugal, I think. And then me, and I'm holding the American flag.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
And that was the high point because it was the fact that I won a medal because you have a medal count.
Yeah.
You know, so all medals count. And so I'd won a bronze medal, 3rd place for the United States, and then under the banner of the United States. But then I felt like I had defeated cancer because how does cancer beat you? Give up. Don't quit. Mm-hmm. Survive. Give up. Don't quit. Survive. So that's the highlight of my competition career.
That's amazing. So in that moment, you won professionally and personally at the same time.
And cried like a baby. Cried like a baby.
That's awesome. Well, last question, Doug. I asked this of all my guests, and you might have already answered it just a little bit, but one quick tip, one from the personal side and one from the professional side, to help folks out there elevate their life or business.
Well, again, I was blessed to be raised by God-fearing people. I've been anointed by the blood of Christ. So I think I always had a calling to be a teacher. I really enjoy seeing other people light up when all of a sudden they can do something that they couldn't do a few minutes ago. So my faith has never left me, never separated. I've never doubted my faith. Okay, being adopted. Why did my parents pick me out of a room full of 40 kids and say, I want that one over there? Was I yelling? Was I screaming? I was a preemie. I weighed less than 4 pounds when I was born. Why did they choose that runt of the litter over there? I don't know. I think that was a God thing. Personally, you got to have a sense of humor. You can't take life so serious because it'll tear you apart. I mean, I think God put me to everybody I meet every day to crack a joke or pat them or give them a hug. And when I leave, I want their life to be just a little bit more manageable or a little bit better,
Right.
because they saw Mr. D or Doug Dennis, or my nickname in karate was Flash. And I want that to be a positive outlook.
You certainly do that day in and day out. Well, everyone, my youngest daughter, Addie, has been a warrior woman at Shudo Kan Karate for about 5 years now. And I would highly recommend, if you're interested in karate, if you think your student or your child is interested in karate, hey, head out and see Sensei Dennis here. But Mr. D, where can people go if they want to find out more information about Shudo Kan Karate?
Call 217-787-9092. We're at 1453 North Bradverton Road, catty-cornered from the elevator at the intersection of 125 and Bradverton Road. We have the largest facility in town, I think. We can accommodate up to 100 students a night. We have classes right now, Tuesday, Thursday, private classes on Monday, Wednesday, or Sunday, or whenever you're available. Jeff Jenkins, my oldest student, has been with me 40-plus years. Aaron Emery is a teacher at Springfield High, master's degree in education. She teaches and kind of heads up our junior program. Vernon Vincent is an IT guy. He has unique abilities to relate to kids. I mean, he's 10 feet taller than him, but he's a kid at heart. And the four of us with Bobby Hinchcliffe. Bobby is our MMA fighter. Bobby is 3-time national champion. He is a super fitness guy. Mm-hmm. Great guy to train with. He runs most of our competition classes and coaches nationally with us. So the 5 of us committed our lives to make your warrior women or your young warriors better human beings, but also don't be afraid of kids like I was growing up.
That's right. I know.
I've been bullied for a while.
I bet. I'll tell you, my daughter has certainly grown a lot mentally and physically at her time in Shudo Kan Karate. So check out Shudo Kan Karate Club right here in Springfield. Over 50 years of service to the community. We're going to go ahead and let Doug get back to Elevate in Springfield. But for the rest of y'all, we'll be right back after the break. You have a good one, Mr. D.
Thank you, sir.
When I first walked into Shudo Kan Karate Club, I was just looking for a way to get stronger, but what I found was so much more. Here we train in traditional karate, the real stuff, passed down through generations. Every punch, every kata has purpose. I've learned self-discipline, confidence, and how to protect myself. Not just in class, but in real life. It's not about being aggressive, it's about being prepared. This is more than a club, it's a way of life. Join us at Shudo Kan, traditional, powerful, real. Ki-ai!
All right, how about Mr. D, Sensei Doug Dennis? He has certainly lived a phenomenal life, been at the top of the game in that karate field. Hey, he's one you could sit and talk with for a long time. He always tells me, if you're going to come talk with Mr. D, you better bring a cold drink and a sack lunch because you're going to be here a while. But there are some phenomenal stories. Hey, if you ever get a chance to sit down and talk with Mr. D, ask him about more of his competitions and how he's been really all over the world doing it. So very interesting stuff. So a few things that we talked about with Doug and how it relates to through a 10X lens. He talked a lot about his mentors growing up. In the 10X world, we are very high on mentorship and coaching. You need to have people around you that are going to hold you accountable and coach you to do those great things. We have programs available that we can help you out with that here locally and through the main office. So it is vitally important to have the right mentors and coaches around you to keep you on track, to hold you accountable. Another thing he talked about was how Japanese culture is so giving, and how karate in general, that's why they never end on time, is that they are so giving. That falls right in line with 10X methodologies. You may have heard me before talking about the concept of give, giving so much value to the people around you, to your clients, to your employees, to folks you are around every single day. Giving, giving, giving. Having so much value that people don't want to do business with anybody else but you, or don't want to be around anybody else in your space. So find ways to give, and then give a little bit more. He also talked about training a little bit. In the 10X system, we have Cardone University, which is a training tool that I personally use every day. And I would recommend that anybody in the business field could use that as part of their daily training regimen. I do lessons on that every single morning as part of my morning routine. You know, commitment is huge in anything we do, whether it's in business or in our personal life. And having that commitment to training will keep you on the right track, keep you stretching, keep you moving toward success. So no matter what field you're in, you have to find the right training protocols, and you have to commit to doing them every single day. And finally, he talked about never quitting. Hey, you've heard me talk about that before. One of the main concepts in 10X is you cannot fail if you don't quit. It's a matter of sticking to it, never quitting, pushing through, taking more action until you achieve your desired results. So, a lot of great things with Mr. D today. You can take some of these actionable strategies that we talked about, implement them in your life, bring that discipline and follow through, and achieve results. And if we all do that, together we can elevate Springfield. We're going to be right back with more after the break. Hey everybody, if you like what you've heard so far, hey, join us over on Facebook. We have a group and a page over there. You can also join our free community where we will bring you additional insights and strategies to help you elevate your life, your business, and ultimately our community. You can find that link in the show notes. We would love to have you join us. Let's get back to it. Well, thank you for joining us today, everybody. Appreciate you making us a part of your day. If you want to get caught up on previous episodes, hey, head on over to your favorite podcast outlet and just search for Elevate Springfield. Should be able to find us. Thank you to Sensei Doug Dennis for spending the afternoon with us today and telling us about how he has been able to stay in business for over 50 years here in the Springfield area. For all of y'all, take some of those actionable strategies you learned today, add your discipline and follow through, and together we're going to elevate Springfield. We're going to have more for you next week. But until then, we'll see you and be great.